Welcome back to Costumeco. Recently, a viewer asked me to rank the costumes of Sansa Stark. I've already covered Cersei Lannister and Daenerys Targaryen, and I'll link those videos in the description below. Now, in this video, I'll rank every costume worn by Sansa Stark across all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. To keep things focused, I've grouped some costumes together. Revisiting Sansa's looks, now that some time has passed since the Game of Thrones finale, was truly fascinating. Her costumes are not just iconic, they also tell the story of her incredible journey from being a constant punching bag to becoming one of the few characters to make it all the way to the end. Now for this list, I'm ranking costumes based on their storytelling impact and the craftsmanship of the talented creators who brought them to life. And I'll also share my personal favorites and mention some costumes that recently came up for auction at Heritage Auctions. A quick note, there will be spoilers for all 8 seasons, but I've done my best to match each costume to its corresponding episode, but with dozens of costumes across 73 episodes, I might occasionally get one wrong. And I've also added chapters for easy navigation if you'd like to skip ahead at any time. Lastly, I want to clarify that I'm Heidi, a real person creating this video, not AI. These are my own thoughts, even if sometimes I sound robotic. A huge thank you to my patrons for their support, and if you'd like to join our totally human Patreon community, check the link in the description for membership perks. With that all out of the way, let's dive into the countdown. Number 21, Winterfell Embroidery Dress. In the series premiere, Winter is Coming, Sansa wears a simple schoolgirl smock with a boat neck collar, crafted from homespun pocket weave wool or linen and cinched with a sash. The cool blue-gray palette sets the tone for Winterfell. On closer look, the woven fabric features subtle embossing and delicate white floral embroidery, reflecting Sansa's skill in sewing and embroidery, a sharp contrast to her sister Arya. Number 20, Welcome to Winterfell. In this scene for the premiere, Sansa wears a full-length cloak over an undergown. Like all the cloaks in the pilot episode, hers is made from homespun wool in cool tones, featuring a rabbit fur collar. Game of Thrones costume designer Michele Clapton notes that Northern costumes reflect their origins through color and cut, saying, "When we first see Sansa, she's wearing things in a Stark way, very well but slightly clumsy with homespun cloth." Sansa's wool serge cloak, in soft gray tones, is the lightest among the Stark family. The dove gray color aligns with Cersei's early nickname for her, Little Dove. Number 19, Traveling to King's Landing. In the Season 1 episode, The King's Road, Sansa debuts a mauve gown inspired by attire of Cersei's handmaidens, attempting to blend in with the royal party. The gown, made from silk, features full sleeves, a short train, and a slightly ill-fitting silhouette. Clapton explained, "We designed Sansa's dress to be something she might have sewn herself, using delicate fabrics and a youthful silhouette to reflect her inexperience and hopefulness at the start of her journey." The dress is laced at the back and adorned with embroidered flowers, leaves, and small knots along the neckline and sleeves, stitched in gold and green floss. This look reappears in Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things and a golden crown. The costume was later sold at Heritage Auctions on October 10th, 2024 for $6,875. Number 18, Winterfell Banquet. In the pilot episode Winter is Coming, Sansa wears a striking gown in cool gray tones that, in some lighting, appears almost mauve. Now, the gown features detachable sleeves and a collar, and Sansa proudly tells Queen Cersei at the banquet that she made it herself. The gown is intricately embroidered with little knots decorating the front, the upper sleeves, attached with hand-sewn grommets and lacing, and the collar. Clapton told BuzzFeed, "Sansa expresses herself through her ability to embroider and stitch. Even in one of the very first scenes, Cersei asks her about her dress, and she says she made it herself. We've always used that as a way for Sansa to express her feelings, through her embroidery, depictions on her costumes, and the use of shade and color." Beneath the gown, Sansa wears a tone-on-tone striped chemise with a double drawstring neckline. The padded collar features embroidery by Michele, the principal embroidery artist for Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Drawing from her background as a textile conservator, Carragher incorporated the Tullyfish, a nod to Sansa's mother's sigil, into the design. The same gown reappears in the episode Lord Snow, this time without the additional sleeves and collar. In this scene, Sansa wears a cream embroidered lace chemise with bishop sleeves and a drawstring neckline. Here, Joffrey gives her a Lannister pendant as an apology, though it's clearly a manipulative gesture. The pendant, like Cersei's, bears the Lannister lion sigil engraved in gold. Number 17. Robe and undergown. In the Season 2 episode A Man Without Honor, Sansa wakes up to discover that she's flowered, prompting Queen Cersei to be notified. In that scene, she wears a dove gray linen shift paired with a matching robe adorned with metallic ecru embroidery down the front. The collar and cuffs are trimmed with velvet gray. Earlier in What Is Dead May Never Die, Sansa wore the same robe alone. This silhouette reflects the Japanese-inspired aesthetic of King's Landing. Notably, her aunt Lady Lysa Arryn also adopts a similar Southern-style silhouette, likely influenced by her role as the wife of Jon Arryn, the former Hand of the King to Robert Baratheon. Number 16. King's Landing Lace Motif Gown. In the Season 3 episode Dark Wings, Dark Words, Sansa wears a mauve woven silk gown with an ecru lace overlay on the shoulders, sleeves, and skirt, paired with a light purple scarf and a delicate dragonfly necklace during her meeting with Margaery and Olenna Tyrell. She abandons the Lannister style for the symmetrical silhouette favored by the Tyrells, though the mauve palette remains for another season. Now, this ensemble, along with her butterfly necklace, reappears when she meets Peter Baelish in Kiss by Fire, and again in The Climb, this time without the scarf. A glimpse of the butterfly necklace peeks through her hair, and the dark gold sycamore key closures on the gown's front panels are visible. Similar closures were worn by her mother, Catelyn Stark, reflecting Sansa's connection to the natural world. Number 15. King's Landing Brocade Gown. In the Season 3 episode And Now His Watch Is Ended, Sansa meets with Margaery, and in the finale Misa, she walks with Tyrion while Shae follows close behind. For these scenes, Sansa wears an alternative to her lace motif gown, here a woven gold and purple silk brocade gown. The turned-back sleeves reveal the reverse side of the fabric, while the collar and gown opening are piped with coordinating silk. This gown is made from the reverse side of a stunning brocade by Casamance. While the exact colorway used for Sansa's gown may differ, it resembles the Sculptura pink blossom fabric from the Donatella collection, composed of viscose blended with silk and polyester. The gown features the same sycamore seed closures as her previous look. A closer inspection of the undergown reveals a wide border on the skirt crafted from a higher quality purple fabric. Number 14. Tourney Gown and Wrap. Sansa wears this pretty slub silk gown in the Season 2 episode, The Wolf and the Lion. Still in mauve tones, her fitted gown looks more refined with the lower neckline and elaborate embroidery. In this image, we can see the beautiful embroidered silk sleeves constructed from a coordinating mauve silk fabric. At the tourney, Sansa wears her hair pulled back, reflecting the Southern styles. Clapton's notes on the design for Sansa's tourney gown state: embroidered and beaded at neckline, Sansa's own work, mauve rough silk now fitted more than earlier dresses, gold silk lining to sleeves. In a close-up, the intricate work of Michele is evident. Mauve silk rosettes at the neckline are lined in gold silk with gold leaves and hanging beads added for detail. The gold floral embroidery motif extends from the shoulder down to the greenish gold gores at the hip. Carragher also incorporated gold beading and mesh into a striking direwolf motif, completing this exquisite design. Number 13. Feather Dress. Armored from throat to ankle and featured very briefly in the Season 8 episode The Last of the Starks, Sansa's Gibson Girl silhouette is nipped in at the waist with this black leather cincher belt and harness. Though the costume didn't receive much screen time, the design team showcased it in the Season 8 Entertainment Weekly spread and cover alongside promotional images of Sansa on the Iron Throne. Since her dark Sansa look in Season 5, Sansa has incorporated black feathers into her costumes. Clapton has explained that these feathers symbolize ravens from the rookery, reflecting Sansa's evolution as the Lady of Winterfell. Now, at first glance, I thought Sansa's Season 8 gown was covered in lacquered feathers, but some viewers had suggested it resembled dragon glass or even obsidian, which is a volcanic glass, which I think are all great observations. Clapton may have also drawn inspiration from this gold lacquered feathered coat and tulle mermaid skirt from Alexander McQueen's 2010 Fall-Winter Posthumous collection. Clapton, who's a fan of McQueen's work, had previously cited his Bjork Bell dress as inspiration for Marjorie Tyrell's iconic burrito dress. The Guardian noted that McQueen's coat, made from lacquered gold duck feathers, likely paid homage to Grinling Gibbons, known for his lifelike carvings of feathered birds. A close-up of Sansa's gown reveals the feather detail, which shifts between blue and black depending on the light. And her belt is adorned with a silver fish buckle, a subtle nod to her mother, Catelyn Stark. Number 12, King's Landing silk gowns. I've grouped 3 of Sansa's King's Landing gowns together due to their similar silhouette. First, we see her in a Cersei-inspired kimono gown in Season 1's The Pointing End, where she pleads for mercy for her father. Unlike a traditional kimono, Sansa's soft green paper silk gown overlaps right to left, secured with silk ties, and features side panels for added fullness. She also sports the fashionable hairstyle of King's Landing women. Sophie Turner described the outfit as symbolizing Sansa's innocence and desperate hope, contrasting her gentle appearance with the harsh reality she faces. Sansa wears the same gown in Baelor during her father's confession and execution, with the addition of a cutwork metal belt and dragonfly embroidery on her right shoulder. Carragher, using Japanese-inspired embroidery, often incorporates motifs like this on kimonos. In Garden of Bones Season 2, Sansa wears the same soft green gown, this time with a glimpse of a taupe gray petticoat with a wide brocade border. The gown appears again in What Is Dead May Never Die. This gown was auctioned by Heritage Auction on October 10, 2024 for $6,875. For the Season 1 finale, Fire and Blood, Sansa adopts the southern look in a soft pink paper silk gown with long sleeves and a bell-shaped skirt supported by a crinoline. The gown's back and front feature delicate embroidery, while her auburn hair is styled in a roll updo. The soft rose hue and gold belt reflect her fragile state as she faces a harsh new reality, her butterfly necklace replacing the Lannister pendant. Clapton explained that the pink kimono gown symbolizes both Sansa Stark's heritage and her fragility exploited by Joffrey. Sansa wears the same gown in The North Remembers and The Old Gods and the New from Season 2. A closer look reveals fine embroidery around the neckline and side panels. During a chase scene in The Old Gods and the New, the gown flies open, revealing her undergarments including stays, underskirt, and stockings. This gown was sold by Heritage Auction on October 10, 2024 for $7,500, though both the pink and soft green gowns show significant wear and light damage over time. And finally, Sansa wears a simple dark mauve matte silk gown in The Climb from Season 3, featuring gold silk facings and narrow piping around the neckline. The gown is clean and free of any embroidery. In a rare moment, we see Sansa dressing in her chamber with Shay's help, offering a clear view of her 18th century style stays. Number 11, Purple Wedding Gown. Now, one of my favorite Sansa costumes is her purple wedding gown from Season 4's The Lion and the Rose. While the gown follows the same silhouette as her other King's Landing dresses, it's made from this stunning silk blend matelassé fabric in amethyst sourced from Chase Irwin. Clapton described the gown saying, "Sansa has gone back to mauves. It's a very plain dress, but it looks really beautiful, especially with the pale blue necklace I designed for the deed." Now, regarding the necklace, Clapton said, I looked at lots of Art Deco and Art Nouveau pieces for inspiration. It was exciting because I rarely design jewelry. Now, I'll be doing a follow-up video focusing on the jewelry for Game of Thrones, so keep an eye out for that. In this promo shot, Sansa wears her hooded traveling cloak, which we first see when she flees King's Landing after Joffrey's death. Sir Dantos drapes it over her during their escape. The cloak is made from a pocket weave fabric, likely wool or linen, and batik dyed to create patterns. The unlined circle cape has an oversized hood faced with the same fabric. If you are enjoying this content, please take a moment to like this video so that I'll know that this is the kind of content that you would like to see more of. Now, back to the top 10 Sansa Stark costumes ranked. Number 10, Escape from Winterfell. Now, I've included this costume in the top 10 not because it's the prettiest, but because of its significance over 2 seasons. Sansa wears this practical patterned cotton jacquard gown with a simple charcoal gray undergown starting in season 5 through to season 6. Her color palette has shifted from gray-blue to mauves and purples and now back to cooler tones. She first wears this costume in Kill the Boy, paired with a collar resembling one of her embroidered collars from season 1. The bodice and arms are fitted above the elbow with kimono-style bottom sleeves. The sycamore seat closures, a carryover from her King's Landing gowns, complete the look. Sansa also wears the gown again in Hardhome and the season 5 finale, Mother's Mercy, as she jumps from the castle walls with Theon in an attempt to escape King's Landing. The ensemble is paired with her mauve cloak from season 4 and gray leather gloves. Clapton said we wanted Sansa's escape outfit to be functional and realistic for the harsh conditions. The darker tones and heavier materials reflect her somber state and the physical demands of the escape. In The Red Woman, season 6 picks up where season 5 left off, with Sophie Turner's Sansa wearing the same outfit, though heavily worn and dirty, until she reaches the safety of Castle Black and her brother Jon Snow in Book of the Stranger. A cleaned-up version of the dress reappears in The Door. Turner noted Sansa's outfit symbolizes her resilience and determination. It reflects her journey from victim to key player in the fight against Ramsay. This dress and cloak, worn in Mother's Mercy, sold at Heritage Auctions on October 11, 2024 for nearly $24,000. Although the auction doesn't specify, it's likely multiple versions of this costume were created, including the standalone winter dress from Book of the Stranger, which sold on the same day for $12,500. Number 9, Lady of Winterfell. Now, this section compiles 4 looks from seasons 7 and 8, which, while similar in silhouette, carry significant symbolic weight. Sansa's costume journey in season 7 is all about strength and control. As Clapton told British Vogue, she's learned from those who were cruel to her, and when she returns to Winterfell in season 6, she's finally in control. I love the idea of her lacing herself into her dress, protecting herself by closing off from the outside world. Lady of Winterfell look number 1 is worn in 6 episodes, which is a notable amount for Game of Thrones. Sansa's gown in the season 7 premiere, Dragonstone, combines elements from her previous seasons, including her dark Sansa look, such as the needle pendant, through a silver ring at her throat. Clapton explained there's a showing of strength among the women. She has the chain, the circle, and all that she's been through in her costume. The gown features Stark sigil closures, raven feather trim, and fur cuffs with epaulets likely nodding to her father Eddard Stark. Over this gown, she wears a charcoal gray cloak with a woven leaf motif, possibly a weirwood leaf. Sansa's wolf pelt collar is a key element symbolizing her connection to her parents and her growing leadership role at Winterfell. In The Dragon and the Wolf, Sansa swaps out the wolf pelt for an oversized hood lined with fur when carrying out Littlefinger's sentence. Lady of Winterfell look number 2, worn in The Queen's Justice, is very similar in silhouette and color, but features a wood grain textured fabric with a crosshatch detail on the bodice. The belt, jewelry, and cloak remain consistent with the other looks. Winterfell look number 3, featured in Beyond the Wall and the Season 8 premiere, gets more attention due to its prominent appearance in Entertainment Weekly and the HBO teaser. This gown's hourglass silhouette is reminiscent of late 19th century fashions, and Clapton noted, "Her dresses are tightly laced on, incredibly difficult to remove, contributing to Sansa's straight posture." The gown also features a samurai-inspired collar and a fabric pattern that Clapton likens to swimming fish from the Tully sigil, though some viewers suggest it resembles House Bolton's flayed man sigil. Finally, Winterfell look number 4, worn in the last of the Starks during the funeral scene, is a simple charcoal gray dress with no embellishments, similar in cut to the other looks. Number 8, black leather bodice ensemble. In Season 8, Sansa adds an extra layer of protection to her costume. Clapton explained to British Vogue, "People wear armor in times of danger, and I wanted her costume to reflect the tensions around her. With Daenerys and Winterfell and their strained relationship, it's partly Sansa reacting to that. But I also wanted to show she's a warrior in her own right. I wanted it to evoke strength." The armor piece appears over her King's Landing look number 1 in the A Night of the Seven Kingdoms episode, and another charcoal ribbed dress worn during her private meeting with Daenerys. This full ensemble sold at auction for $32,500 on October 12, 2024, with Heritage Auctions describing it as featuring copper back with gray vertical overlay stitch detail, 3-tier leather collar, and lacing up front. Clapton added, "We designed this outfit to convey Sansa's inner strength and her role as a leader. The leather and structured design symbolize her resilience and readiness to stand up against threats, even without a sword." Many of my viewers noted the bodice's resemblance to Japanese armor, specifically the Do breastplate and backplate, which were traditionally made from overlapping lacquered leather or bone lamellars. Sansa wears a version of the bodice in the series finale, the Iron Throne, layered over a textured blue-gray dress with subtle changes, including weirwood branches tooled into the leather strips. Number 7, Battle of the Blackwater. As a captive in King's Landing, Sansa's only form of control is her wardrobe. In Season 2, episode Blackwater, when Joffrey orders her to kiss his sword, she shifts from her kimono-style gowns to a more symmetrical robe gown, reminiscent of Marjorie Tyrell's fashions. This mauve floral jacquard gown is modest enough and not such a departure from her other gowns as to catch the attention of Cersei, with long sleeves fitted on the upper arms and flowing below the elbows. Like her other gowns, the neckline is filled in with a pleated mauve scarf, and the fabric pattern aligns beautifully at the seams. Sansa continues to wear her gold belt, and in a rear view, the back portion of the gown reveals gold chainmail fastened at the center. She also abandons the tightly rolled updo, a style she once admired. And she wears the gown again in Season 3, episode Vala de Harris, when Littlefinger offers to smuggle her out of King's Landing, and then the Bear and the Maiden Fair. So by Season 4, episode 2 Swords, nearly 2 years later, the gown appears too snug across the back and arms. Sansa also wears this gown and cloak in Season 4, episodes First of His Name, and again in Mockingbird and the Mountain and the Viper, while traveling to the Vale. Number 6, Traveling Cloak and Dress. In Season 5 episode The Wars to Come, we first see Sansa and Littlefinger in matching cloaks, or houppelons, which are a floor-length garment from the Middle Ages. Sansa wears this outfit again in The High Sparrow while traveling to King's Landing for her arranged marriage. One of my favorite costumes, the cloaks feature stand-up collars and false full-length hanging sleeves. Both Sansa and Peter Baelish's cloaks are made from a nubby, tweed-like fabric lined in fur, with sleeves lined in golden taupe brocade fabric. Clapton explained, "We chose a dark, heavy cloak to symbolize Sansa's journey into danger. The design is practical for travel, yet reflects her growing strength and determination to survive and adapt." Sansa's cloak sold for $17,500 at Heritage Auctions on October 11, 2024. Her undergown is made from the same silk matelassé fabric as the purple wedding gown, though dyed black. Sophie Turner remarked, Sansa's darker clothing reflects her transformation and growing political awareness, contrasting with the lighter, more naive dresses she wore earlier. This dress sold for $13,750 at auction on the same day. Number 5, Dark Sansa. In the Season 4 episode, The Mountain and the Viper, Sansa is seen here sewing a new outfit for herself, a look that is known as Dark Sansa. Clapton explained that Sansa plausibly gathered the messenger raven feathers from the castle rookery to make the dress. This costume would later influence her Winterfell looks in Season 7. To further conceal her true identity, Sansa also dyes her auburn hair black. Clapton's concept art for Dark Sansa shows the evolution of the design. In an interview, Clapton shared the symbolism behind Sansa's necklace. She said the necklace was inspired by Arya's needle, with a spike representing Sansa's smaller version of it. She's finally embracing her strength. Clapton also explained the necklace's significance, noting that the black stone came from New Zealand, giving it a powerful, earthy presence. Sansa wears this costume again in the Season 5 episode, Sons of the Harpy, when Littlefinger kisses her goodbye in the Winterfell crypts, and again in Kill the Boy. She adds a cloak and black leather-like gauntlet gloves. The look was also featured in promotional material, though Sophie Turner's hair is back to its auburn color for the shoot. Number 4, Battle of the Bastards. This rare costume, designed by the late American costume designer April Ferry, who took over in Season 6 after Michele Clapton left for The Crown, is the only one worn by Sansa not created by Clapton. Ferry, an Emmy Award-winning designer who passed away in 2024, crafted this gown for Season 6 episode The Door, where Sansa shows Jon her self-made gown, complete with direwolf embroidery, and offers him a cloak resembling his father's. While some associate this look with Catelyn Stark, I believe it reflects Sansa's unique style. Like Daenerys, she blends influences from those around her and makes them her own. The gown, made from silk velvet in a teal-green hue, is cut like a bleout, an overgarment worn in medieval Europe. A standout feature is the embroidered direwolf yoke collar, possibly a separate piece from the gown, sitting like a bib. The gown appears in Battle of the Bastards and briefly in the Season 6 finale, The Winds of Winter. Both Jon and Sansa wear full-length cloaks with wolf pelts. Sansa's cloak is made from indigo blue velvet damask, gathered at the neck for fullness and heavily distressed with dirt and mud for realism. The direwolf embroidery, created by Michele Carragher, is stunning. The silver gray and gold floss are embellished with metallic seed beads, Japanese bugle beads, and mother-of-pearl shell beads, which bring the direwolf sigil to life. Number 3, Tyrion Wedding. This gown, worn only once in the Season 3 episode The Bear and the Maiden Fair, is a stunning damask wrap gown in gray and golden taupe hues, depending on the lighting. Made from cotton and silk damask from Pierre Frey, the fabric features a taupey golden motif on a soft gray ground. While some photos and Clapton's book suggest a rosy gold color, the fabric swatch indicates a taupe tone. The gown has a fitted wrap bodice with cap sleeves, engraved gorget-style armor pieces on each hip, and a full skirt with an extended train. Embroidery artist Michele Carragher explained that Michele Clapton wanted the gown's bodice to be confined and restricted with vulnerable arms, while the embroidery would reflect Sansa's life story. With the idea being that it was commissioned by Cersei, the embroidery symbolizes dominance. The Stark direwolves and Tullyfish represent Sansa's parentage, while the Lannister lion overtakes the direwolf, symbolizing Sansa's control by the Lannisters. The central lion, crowned with a Baratheon-like crown, nods to Joffrey's parentage, and the Lannister line at the back neck shows their total ownership over Sansa. Number 2, Ramsay Wedding. For her wedding to Ramsay Bolton in the Season 5 episode, Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken, Sansa blends Stark and Tully traditions in a winter white brocade coat. Her natural auburn hair is styled in an elaborate braid updo. The coat, crafted from a stunning platinum rope motif brocade from Chase Irwin's Halcyon collection, features a tapered waist, full skirt, and sweeping train. It's laced at the back and paired with a dove gray silk undergown with a high metal drawstring collar and soft cuffs. A fur capelet pays homage to her Stark heritage, while the bell shape of the gown evokes the Lyanna Stark crypt statue. Sansa also wears clasps resembling her mother's Tullyfish sigil. Now, initially, the bodice structure seemed unique to Sansa's costume, but it does draw parallels to a gown from McQueen's Fall 2004 ready-to-wear collection. The sculpted white gown, featuring a large silver shoulder and neck piece by Sean Lean, shares a similar structure, as does a heavy sweeping train reminiscent of Sansa's brocade dress dragging in Winterfell's snow. And now, the number one Sansa costume. Coronation gown. In the 73rd and final episode of the Game of Thrones series, Sansa is crowned Queen of the North in the episode The Iron Throne. Michele Clapton shared on Instagram that the dress was made from the same fabric as Sansa's Dark Sansa gown, which was also used for Marjorie's wedding dress to Joffrey. The fabric features falling leaves with a feathered and embroidered direwolf across the shoulder. Although not visible, red beaded leaves fall from one sleeve, and the textured sleeves evoke the fur of the direwolf sigil. The metal bodice is adorned with growing branches of the weirwood tree. Clapton explained that the costume is filled with meaning, referencing the needle, the asymmetry of the cut, and symbols linked to Arya, Bran, Rickon, Jon, and Theon. And she emphasized the collaborative effort behind the creation of the gown, including contributions from her assistant designer, actor Sophie Turner, the showrunners, the cutter, the armorer, and the embroiderer. Sansa's crown was crafted by Steenson's Jewelers in Ireland, known for creating many bespoke pieces for the show. The sterling silver crown was oxidized and made using a lost wax casting technique after the design was approved following a CAD mock-up. Now, if you're still with me, thank you so much for sticking around. I didn't mean for this to turn into a documentary, but I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. Let me know in the comments which Sansa Stark costume was your favorite throughout the series. With House of the Dragon likely on hold until 2026, we're facing a bit of a Westeros drought. But don't worry, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms premieres on June 15, 2025, and I'll be covering it in full, along with more House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones content to keep the excitement going. A huge shout out to my patrons for making this video possible, and thanks to all of you for spending time with me. I'll see you in the next video.